a mob down there. It was a mob down there. A lot of very good people, a lot of children. I had to walk a lot, so I really tired myself. And but it was a good place to be. And I heard they had over 4,000 people, maybe.
Oh, good.
But you were gonna say you down there with Beto or Rock.
Yeah, yeah.
That's who it was?
Okay, folks, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, good. I just finished listening to Devin, and Devin, I want to welcome you back.
Thank you.
Okay, good. And so everybody checked in?
Yeah.
Everybody
Okay,
checked in besides you and Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, yeah.
Okay, I did hear David Atwood. So Johnson, we're gonna let you check in.
Hey man, how y'all doing? Sorry I'm late. How's everybody?
Everybody's good. How are you?
You doing all right, you and your family?
Yeah, I mean, you know, nobody but me and her at this point. I'm trying to keep from giving her this head cold or whatever it is I got. But other than that, man, everything is good. Everything is good.
Yeah.
Enjoying time with my little grandson. That's a pleasure and a blessing.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, folks, I'm gonna check in, but in regard to this meeting, I think that we can take a little opportunity to share a little bit about what might be going on with us, not only in terms of our what you might call endeavors for community building in the community, but we can also be a little up close and personal, which would be beneficial to me, because there's been a lot that I have been engaged in going on. Now, I'd like to mention to you that so my son-in-law graduated from Harvard, and my wife and I went up about a week before. She had a real terrific hard fall, and we unable to really ascertain why she fell, but she's wearing a heart monitor now. And so the heart monitor hopefully will give us some clues as to what has happened. But she went about 2 years in terms of a break, a pause, cessation, and falling. She had really had about 6 falls in the previous 2 years, and then we had to break. But so luckily we didn't, I guess our bone density and the grace that she got prevented her from breaking the hip or anything of that nature. But I did want to mention, you know, in regard to the events surrounding my remarkable son-in-law. I hope he stays remarkable. I know what can happen over time. But at any rate, at Harvard, during the awarding of the diplomas, the parents and loved ones of the recipients got somewhat rowdy, and that was a question of crowd control. And so first a Jamaican brother who was working came over, and he told the folks that they were basically ridiculous. He didn't say uncouth, but he indicated that they were infringing on the rights of the other people by standing and not observing the appropriate lanes to be in to take pictures and things like that. Really kind of aggressive. And of course, several people were disturbed. And so finally a young, looked like a black man that was 30 years of over, under. He came over and he put his arms out and he said, my fellow Americans, friends and countrymen. He took a take from John F. Kennedy because we were at the John F. Kennedy School of Government. And he took, I guess, a segment out of the famous "Ask not what you can do for what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country." And after he gave that, the crowd actually calmed down. He was in a security uniform, but he gave that. His tone was of such that it took a lot of the tension out of the proceedings. So I just wanted to mention, he taught me a lot about the tone that you have when you're dealing with diverse groups of people, especially grandparents and aunts and cousins and things of that nature. So it was that was a good deal. Right before we arrived, the woman right in front of us on a bicycle was hit by a car.
Wow.
And so we had to basically slow our roll and wait on the paramedics and everybody to come in to try to get that woman relieved and medically taken care of. But it was some very, very fine people, very, very fine people there. My wife agitated me because she wanted everybody there to tell her how cute she was. And so after about the 20th person that she had asked to tell her how cute she was, I basically asked her to shut that down in those words, because it was irritating to me. But she was looking mighty good. I would agree with you there. And, you know, I'm one of these people is that if you have a tendency to fall, get somewhere and shut down and be quiet. Sit down and be quiet, because it's going to be a struggle trying to get you to an upright position again. Okay, well, thank you for y'all letting me do that spiel. I want to mention a few, just a minute. Y'all go ahead. I'm going to mention a few people that are having some profound challenges.
Mr. Robertson, would you like to go ahead and check in?
Yes. Hi, Miss Robertson. And I'm sorry, I've been on and I didn't click the correct button to get into the video or the Zoom itself. I am so sorry. I apologize for that. Was there anything that you asked for from the beginning?
No, ma'am. We were just doing a round table checking in.
Okay. And if Amawale or you ask for a prayer, I would do that. So
you said what? Yes, please, Ms. Robertson, any inspiration that you can provide for us.
Okay, we'll start then. And again, I apologize to you, Mr. Amawale. Dear Heavenly Father, we come today asking you for coverage over all of us. Lord, we pray for everyone for the purpose of this perfect union that we're working on today. And we ask you to look upon those that are absent today as we join this Zoom. And we also ask you to look upon the relatives of all the students that were lost in Uvalde. And Lord, we ask you we plead for your health and strength to go on in our daily lives as we go in and out. And Lord, I petition that you give us the ability to use our minds for those causes we are working on today or tomorrow or in the future. We also ask, and I declare in the name of Jesus, that you protect our communities, our churches, our leaders, and the peace of Jerusalem. And Lord, we just ask you on our meeting today that you just bless it and let it be a purpose here where all of us will be able to succeed. And Lord, we just ask you for grace, and mercy. And we just thank you for all these things. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. I want to thank you, Ms. Roberson, because I think that you shifted my mood in a positive way. And that prayer had impact. I'm speaking on a personal basis. I hope I'm speaking on a collective basis.
Yeah.
So we thank you for returning to Far More Perfect Union. I wanted to mention that we did get an indication from Wendy through an email that she was trying to return. You know, Wendy and Fred, they had this remarkable relationship. Fred was somewhat like Hemingway in terms of his production. It was global in scope, and she lost him. I think they had about 65 or 70 years together. So at any rate, when it did indicate that she was going to return, I like to mention that Miss Claire Chanette, they've been having a terrific piece of adversity with cancer in terms of multiple members of her family. My niece, who had a stage 4 colon cancer, she and 3 of her boys and 2 nephews, they showed up unannounced at my house, and she was just actually doing wonderful, and her mood was real bright. And so that was real good news there. So, but her name is Keisha. And so make sure that you continue to give her your prayers. Okay, I don't know if we need to hear anything from anybody else about what's going on, our wellness check-in. I think Ms. Brantley has probably put the somewhat of a makeshift agenda in the chat. One of the first things on there, she was going to explain about our YouTube access. How do we use the YouTube?
Good morning, everyone. I will put the chat, I will put in the YouTube link. If you can subscribe to the channel for our YouTube page. And then in the next few weeks, we will be using the Zoom and the YouTube channel, but you can go back and look at all the contents in the meeting. I'm continuously to upload all the information from our previous meetings. Mr. Amawali.
Okay, thank you so much. I have one question. Some other people might have questions. I think I signed in to the YouTube channel through my Google account.
Yeah, so you can just click on the link and you can subscribe, whether it's, you can copy the link to put it on your phone. However, you can just, whatever you use to log into your Gmail, but you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You just hit the subscribe button.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ms. Brantley, will you explain to us, so the general public, the universe of people out there, if they don't have a subscription, or you give them a permission as the host, they just can't come in on us. Is that right?
Well, on the Zoom, no one can just come in on us, but on the YouTube page, if they are a subscriber, they can, I mean, right now it's live. They can look at the actual YouTube page right now.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions, observations for Ms. Brantley about the YouTube channel?
Oh.
David Johnson, do you have a question?
No, sir. No, I don't. I'm just looking through my files to see if I can find that link. I know I downloaded the last time, but I can't find it.
She also put it in the chat.
She did put it in the chat. All right, cool.
Yeah. Okay, then good. So if the kind of experiences that we have, if we have technical difficulties, we can try to address those technical difficulties. But I want to give you a strong shout out, Miss Brantley. Now, we wanted to have one of our epidemiologists to come on and tell us about the expectations for the for COVID going into the fall. I'm gonna ask, somebody's gonna have to kill the mic. But at any rate, what I was going to say is that from listeners to Dr. Stephen Holtze and a few of the other doctors, we could have we should be prepared for a terrific outbreak of COVID in the fall. And I'm assuming that that means starting in September, that our numbers might be like they were in the beginning of the epidemic, even though we're in an endemic phase right now. There's a good chance that we're going to be in a epidemic phase again, but with the vaccines, we're at about 67% nationwide in terms of people who are vaccinated. So the risk of death and severe illness would be a lot less, and there might be some more advanced in therapeutics. But the idea is not to relax. Let me ask people, how many people are still using protocols like masking and social distances? You can speak to it, please. How many people are still using those protocols?
And
Okay. Okay, good. I see at least 3 or 4 people who are still using those protocols, and that's a good thing. I know some of our institutions that we go in, they still have their notifications up that you need your mask to enter those places. So I guess as families, we'll probably have certain policies on a family basis for gatherings too. I know some people are requiring a PCR test for certain kinds of gatherings. They want you to have a PCR. But hopefully I can get an epidemiologist on next time, real health, one of the health professionals on next time, and we can follow up on that. Okay, if nobody has any comments about the COVID expectation, we'll move forward. Rem Mays is not here. I guess I'm gonna ask David Johnson if you might want to give a 1927 update, but I'm thinking that you missed the call. You were at the doctor's office. Yeah, David, you were at the doctor's office, right? You're on mute. You're on mute, David.
Yes, sir. I was at a doctor's appointment, man, so I wasn't in on that meeting.
Okay. Well, prior to the meeting, I think that the right way to approach this is to first find out if we have any impressions related to Uvalde, because 1927 was born out of the awareness that this proliferation of guns in our society, it represents an existential threat, a real threat to public safety. And that's why we start building the 1927 coalition. We are hoping that we're going to have a public policy alternative that will be reasonable and will make sense when the legislature reconvenes. But September the 1st is the anniversary, and we're hoping to have a date. We're hoping to have a big mobilization, either virtually or live, about 1927 the repeal of 1927. And we were asking everybody to lend your name personally to endorsing 1927. Let me know if you want to opt out with using your name as an endorsement of the rollback of 1927. But we also want you to get about 10 to 20 individuals and maybe 10 to 20 organizations that you are affiliated with to sign on to 1927. So if you have any, those are people we doing relationship organizing. So relationship organizing is when you have relationships with people. It could be through Bible studies. It can be through being a member of if you're a nurse, being a member of a medical group, a nurse's medical group. If you're a sorority member, being a member of that sorority or fraternity. We're asking you to bring in people that you have relationships with. Does anybody have any comments, observations?
Well, Omawali, this is Dave. After what happened in Uvalde in that big protest yesterday, I think that certainly will give a boost to what we're working on. And I had some messages, emails from people that know who I am, but I didn't think necessarily would be interested in this project, the 1927 project, but I think they will now. And so as soon as we get a final statement or position that we're going to ask people to sign on, I'm going to start putting that out to a lot of these people that I wouldn't have even thought about before, because I think, what happened in Uvalde just has roused up the whole community in a stronger way. And I think there will be a lot of people that may not have thought about signing on to something like that now are going to be very aware of it and will want to participate.
Yeah, Dave, I think you're absolutely right about that. I think that as long as we're not shy about asking people, we ought to, I think the organizations and the individuals that we contact will fill up real quick. We do have a fact sheet. And so we'll be getting everybody the fact sheet. We're just trying to put the final graphics on the fact sheet in the right way, but we did approve it at the last meeting. And so hopefully my brother's keepers going to extend their graphics person to really shape up that fact sheet. So the fact sheet is going to have some information on there about the justification for 1927. And also it's going to give information about how can I join or how can my organization join, and give them some kind of idea of the kind of activities that we need to take this movement forward. And of course, we're going to be crisscrossing, cross-fertilizing, intersecting with a lot of different other groups now that Uvalde has taken place. We're going to be doing a lot of organization. I do want you to know that one of our programs, which was aimed against preventing deadly encounters, and I say our programs, My Brother's Keeper, which you are part of that, our win-win program, which came into existence in 2012, even before the George Floyd incident. So we got officially adopted by the Houston Police Department as one of their signature programs. And so it took a lot of work to do this, but we are beginning to get some deep dividends from that win-win program to reduce deadly encounters and rebuild and gain trust between police and community. I want to say just a word about target-rich environments. and this is where we all talk a little bit. What we're trying to do is to try to get a message out that there are certain environments that are likely to be targeted by, let's say, the irrational white supremacist element, and they include churches, concerts, clubs, events like sporting events, supermarkets, schools, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea here is that we're going to encourage people that any mass gathering, there ought to be some plan in place. In my words, I'm going to say to stop an active shooter. To stop an active shooter, there ought to be a plan in place. So, excuse my sarcasm, but what I'm going to say is that if you have a group of people, whether it's a church congregation, that you're going to have to prioritize having a plan in somebody who can stop a mass shooter. And the congregation and your people are going to have to know what that plan is. I had a little experience with this in terms of coming up with a plan. And I keep hearing people talk about, when do you barricade? Is it necessary to barricade? You know what I mean? Are there windows that you can break out and get out through windows, etc.? I think in Buffalo, the security guard actually fired a bullet and hit the assailant, but the assailant had on armor, and the assailant fired a bullet and it hit the security guard and killed it. So, our leaders, administrators, they've got to get the message that we've got to have a quick way to intercept, to stop an active shooter. Does anybody have any comments?
To clarify, Omawale, the security guard, who was an ex-cop, he emptied his clip. But the thing about it is, obviously, the guy had on armor. I agree with you 100%. Anybody who deals with any mass gathering, whether it's 5 people or 150 people, you need to be aware of your surroundings. And if you are in unfamiliar surroundings, you need to ask those folks. If you visit another church, man, do I have something in place in case somebody come in here?
Right.
Yeah, you need to know. It's almost like you got to ask on your first date. Have you been tested for AIDS?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I'm saying, if you're going somewhere where you're unfamiliar, you need to ask the question and not be afraid.
No, I think you got a good point, Doc. So we'll share what it is that we know. I don't know if you all saw the editorial that I wrote for African American News and Issues, but I asked that the police authorities make sure that they have a plan in the place to protect Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a target-rich environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got to make sure that, that they've done the proper intelligence, surveillance, and they have a plan in place. If the white supremacists or any other group is targeted, I'm thinking about the hate group people. So we got to have a plan in place, and I hope each one of us will take that into consideration in terms of our traveling to and fro. Anybody have any questions or comments, observations?
So, Mr. Mwala, I have a comment, and more so after the final fact sheet. I think it would be in lieu of us trying to get the word out to create start a petition, because the petition, you get acts of people signing up and you have these signatures already.
I think that's a beautiful idea. I think that's a wonderful idea, Ms. Brandley, and it has an affirmation from me already about the petition. So anybody have anything else?
Yeah, I just want to get a clear understanding about
Yes, sir.
the 1927 rollback. So we're going out, and this is a great time. We're going out to get people to sign up for this petition for the 1927 rollback, correct?
Yeah, we hadn't actually developed the petition yet, but we think it's a necessary component that we're going to have to put with it, is a petition. So the way that we have right now, Devin, is that the folks, once they give their consent or their support, they sign in on to a rollback modification of 1927 that will respect the public safety of citizens. And then the part B that we don't have yet is, what is a reasonable public policy alternative that can be presented to the legislature, hopefully on a bipartisan basis, and then be codified into law? So we're hoping to get a public policy professional, Prairie View, Texas A&M, to look across the country and see what people are doing to cancel, mitigate, curb the effects of these folk who are not qualified, or who are mentally unstable, or who might be a racist and want to do mass violence. We are hoping that there's something that can be put into the law that speaks to that. So we're going to work with our representatives. We have both of the Congress people have signed on. The mayor has signed on. And we have a host of other important VIPs. We were asked to get in touch with the legislative director for Senator Boris Miles. And so we're going to see what can flow from Senator Boris Miles for something that the public can endorse and take to the legislature when it reconvenes.
Okay. So now we're just garnering the signatures.
Yeah, right now, and I think that the based upon Ms. Brandler suggested, we probably gonna make the petition look like the signature page look like a formal petition. Is that we, the undersigned, we, in light of thus, and thus, we ask or demand that. So we'll do it like that now, Devin, because that makes sense.
So do we wait for this this document to be formed before we start trying to get the signatures, or how we're moving?
Okay, we're gonna open that up to everybody to respond on that.
Okay. And the last thing is, I missed a few meetings, so you say you had a fact sheet. Is it somewhere where I can download it or print it? I know Mr. Reverend Mays was putting the fact sheet together, right? You said, was it ever completed?
Yeah, I think it's in everybody's email. There should be an attachment with it there. David, I see Reverend Johnson shaking his head. So
maybe I need to go check my emails. I'm not sure if I received it.
Yeah,
I have to check my email.
Brother Ross, let me know if you didn't receive it. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Because we both on the same email list.
Right. Okay, yeah. But I'm also made a note here to try to send out, but I'm hoping to have the revised fact sheet out by Wednesday. And so we're going to have a revised completed. I just need to put the right graphics, make sure the graphics are reflected in the right way.
Brother Omawali, I think Brother I think Brother Atwood stated a long time ago that before we start approaching organizations, we need to have this fact sheet. I mean, the sign up sheet or whatever it is that we're going to use. We need to have it. And
Yeah.
so when we go to them, we can get that sign on right then.
Yeah, and I'm going to work to put behind this fact sheet is the sign-on sheet. It's going to be with the fact sheet.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very good, Dan.
Can I interject this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. As a part of this fact sheet, are we going to use guns as a public health issue?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't need to think on this, because what really happened really about 30 years ago, just like hepatitis and infectious diseases, this epidemic of violence is now in the area of not only law enforcement, it's in the area of public health. So yes, the answer to your question is yes, and it seems to be universal agreement on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna send you a email, a message, a Facebook message on Wiley. A friend of mine from North Carolina posted this yesterday. Every mass shooting in the United States of America since 1998. It boggles the mind.
Does.
And Amawala, Ms. Joy, I want to say too, in reference to that, we need to emphasize social media. When these things come through, a lot of law enforcers are not taking those social media things seriously until it's too late, until it's in the middle, and until the act is already in action. And no one is listening. I think, I can't remember the exact event that happened when this lady was calling in and she was whispering, had to whisper what she was saying. And irregardless whether it's a whisper or whatever it might be, it should be taken seriously. And I don't know how we can reiterate that to the officials, but not taking these calls and this social media information that is warning the community about someone, we need to take it seriously. And many of them are not taking it seriously until the very last moment, and everything is done and acted upon before they take the call that is initially called in. And that hurts because that's the main carrier of information is that social media. Who finds out first that something is going to happen, they need to take that seriously and use it and send it to the right personnel. It just hurts to know that this shooting in Uvalde could have been prevented in some way or another. It's just awful. Just wanted to comment on that social media.
Well, Sister Robinson, you're correct. I think these days, though, the police monitor social media quite heavily. But the unfortunate fact about this shooting in Uvalde is this young man acted very quickly.
Very quickly, yes, I know.
Very quickly. The only person who really knew about it was a young girl in Germany who he was texting back and forth with.
Wow.
And she made an attempt to contact authorities in Uvalde. But for some reason it didn't, it didn't happen. But you're absolutely right. But the other unfortunate thing about it is you and I, we don't get on the dark web. Most of these guys put their stuff on sites that you and I would never even get close to, probably don't even know anything about.
Exactly.
But these people are on the radar, these Proud Boys and folk like that are being monitored.
Yes.
This guy, I don't want to call him an anomaly, but the quickness with which he moved
Mm-hmm.
kind of negated any
Right.
opportunity to track it.
I understand.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I
But
look,
you're right. You're right.
but you know, David, when we look at that situation, when he wrecked that truck was wrecked that he was in, I don't understand how, and that timing right there, that someone should have expounded right there on that, because that slowed him down a little bit anyway. So I guess it's what boggles the mind is like you said, the gentleman moved very fast, but the timing, we got to do something more sophisticated or something to try to stop these people. We just got to work at it somehow. And
I think there are signs. You're right, sister. There were probably signs that his grandparents missed,
yes.
that teachers missed,
Mhm.
because, as I understand it, he was angry because he wasn't going to graduate.
Right.
And the fight that he had, or the argument that he had with his grandmother about telephone, Wi-Fi, or something of that nature, was an offshoot of his anger already.
Already.
Ain't no way a grandchild of mine gonna be living at my house and collecting guns that I don't know anything about.
And so true. So true.
So
Got your point.
yeah.
Another thing I think is a wake-up call from Uvalde is that this can happen in smaller communities. And I think smaller communities are going to have to look at their response also. Because I grew up in a small community, and I think most small communities, I know they've tried to do what they called some hardening of, and they even had a SWAT team of some sort, that so-called SWAT team in Uvalde, but small communities are not normally prepared for, the police. I think about some of the police in the small town where I grew up. I don't know what they would have done. They would have been running around circles almost. But this can reach into real small communities too, and they got to really look at how they're responding, their training, and how do they getting back to the social media? How do they get this information themselves? Because many times, they're just not. Their kids may be in on it. Their younger people may be on it, but a lot of the older folks, they just aren't in that. They're not thinking about that. But their police forces are going to have to be, and they're going to have to be maybe linked into a larger network of some sort. It's going to have to make some changes. But I felt, I'm not an expert at this at all, but I felt that in Uvalde I just saw that as a relatively small town, and if it had been a big city, you would have had. If it had been Houston, even, you would have had a SWAT team there that had worked on these things before. But this might be the first time ever anything like this has come up in a small town of
That's
that
true.
magnitude.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you on that, David.
Yeah.
You're right. That small versus a humongous city. I do understand. You're right. So we have to look at that and work at that. So true. So true.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not sure, because now with social media being so prevalent, I think all cities are hiring these young people straight out of school, maybe, that's very equipped with the social media, and that they are looking into it. They just got to be more persistent with it, and, and look into it more. I think even some of the smaller communities or cities have what it takes. They just got to do what they need to do, because social media is now, and they use it when they use it for smaller crimes. They just got to pay more attention to it. Maybe the FBI has to step in, and train these people in the smaller communities or whatever. But I believe they have the people. They just have to be more sincere about it, and and look into it more. But I think the people are there that they have, that they need.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I want to thank everybody for their comments. Thank everybody for their comments. Dr. Emmanuel, please get back in place. But what I wanted to say is that David, which we don't have time today, but did you find any information out on that Robert Reich article about the United States and being in the early stages of a civil war?
Yeah, what I looked up was that he had Robert Reich. I'll just read this. If I think I'm on the right thing that you're talking about, Omawali. Stunning update: Robert Reich is sounding the alarm, demanding Congress invoke the 14th Amendment and remove traitors like Lauren Boebert, and that was just one example. But without massive public support, these efforts are doomed. So they were looking to collect signatures to demand Congress invoke the 14th. The 14th Amendment says that if you are in Congress, or if you're a senator, and you are actively trying to overturn the government, that you can't be there. You have to be dismissed.
That's right.
So that's the latest thing I saw from him. And this goes on to say, as you may recall, 14th Amendment, Section 3, no person shall be a senator or representative of Congress or hold any office under the United States or any state who engaged in insurrection or rebellion.
Yeah.
That goes back to the January 6th. And I think they've got information. I don't know where this is going. I know that they're going to have public hearings coming up next month, but it seems pretty obvious to me, at least, that there were a number of people in Congress that were facilitating this thing, maybe promoting it, maybe even probably involved in the planning.
Absolutely.
And that's what Reich was trying to get to here. And so if you want, I can send this over to you, Omawali, if you don't have it already, and you can distribute it out to everybody and to Cassie. So I don't know any more about it than that right now.
Okay.
But I certainly agree, because as probably some of you saw on TV this last week, there were some congressmen that were giving tours to groups of people the day before on January 5th.
When the building was supposed to be on lockdown because of COVID.
Yeah.
Well, David, send that to me and I will distribute it.
Okay.
From the standpoint of for a more perfect union, it looks like our period of domestic tranquility that we would hope that we would have had has vanished. And what happened on January 6th is merely a dress rehearsal for more pandemonium, chaos, and havoc, dissension, discord that's going to happen as we move forward to 2024 and beyond. So we're looking for ways to heal a very, very divided nation. And I think that those of you who have a mind and a heart for reconciliation, that we've got to start trying to find ways to actually heal. But we need to have as much information as possible. So thank you, Dave. We're going to move the agenda. So we have been graced by the presence of Dr. Emmanuel. We've had her once before. She has written a very important book on the Ukrainian situation and its implications for the world. She was in Ukraine in 2014, and she actually had to flee when Crimea was invaded. She is bonded very close with the Ukrainian people. She sent me some messages, which we hope that we can get a wider circulation of Ukrainian soldiers who were sending messages to the American people and to the global community. And they were very, very inspiring. So Dr. Emmanuel, we're just kind of sick, from seeing the continuing war crimes, genocide, atrocities taking place in real time before our very eyes. And we wanted to give you an opportunity. We'll give you another opportunity to tell us a little bit about the import of your book and maybe what inspired you to write the book. You don't speak, you're mute. Mute.
Okay.
You get it.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Omawale, for having me back on your illustrious platform. And thank you very much for everyone on this platform. Before I get to my book, I would just love to comment a little bit on the Owade shooting. I mean, I've been in Ukraine all these years, but right now I'm in the United States. So I'm a part of this society now, and anything that goes on here directly affects me too. It's been very devastating seeing what went on in the news. So devastating that I couldn't even follow the news properly because this year has been traumatizing with the war in Ukraine. But I very much agree with the lady who spoke about social media, because apart from the fact that real-time events are being documented and gotten from social media, there are times that even perpetrators of this dastardly act, they let on about what they are about to do on social media. So it would be very good if our officials, the security officials, are beginning to take social media very seriously, because from there they can get more information to protect the society. But apart from this, I also think that the American system has to play up the importance of mental health, because it is known that a hurting person will hurt another person. And honestly, the shooting that went on in that school is a reflection of what's going on in different homes, in different organizations, and in different parts of the society. Because this young man shot at others and went on this massacre simply because he was dissatisfied with not graduating. Now, this is his own response to something that happened to him. Imagine how many people are taking out their frustration on other people within their environs. This shooting, we got to know about it because it was in the public eye. So what I'm saying in essence is that mental health has to be played up. I don't know what his grandparents were doing, but perhaps they're involved with some sort of job or something, and they're also trying to, just leave the rat race and everything. Otherwise, they might have been able to figure out something is going on with this boy and provide support. So in whatever the security officials are trying to do, I think this mental health support. So before people lose it, people around them would have caught on, notice something is off and try to prefer help in that respect.
Okay. Can we get your book on Amazon?
Yes, sir, you can get my book on Amazon. So the book is titled Enchanting Island. And Mr. Omungwale asked what the inspiration behind the book is. So there was this day I communicated with my friends and family back in Ukraine as usual. And I always try to check on them. That was at the beginning of the war. And then I spoke with a particular lecturer who is both a senior colleague in the medical field and a widely successful businessman. And I asked him if he was safe, and he responded to me that he was no longer trying to be safe, but rather he's shut down his medical practice, he's shut down his very prosperous business, and he was on the battlefield defending the territory of Ukraine against advancing troops. And when he told me that, tears filled my eyes because this is a family I know personally. This is a man that sits down with heads of nations as he goes about his business. He's into the orthodontic business and has been all over the world, and he discusses with heads of nations and business leaders and everything. To see that such a man will shut down his business to protect Ukraine and not minding the cost to his own life. He sent his wife and daughter away to safety, but he chose to stay so. So when that happened, I was like, I've got to give more to the nation of Ukraine. If I'm not able to get on the battlefield to pull guns and fight and fly drones or anything, then I can do something. I can write about Ukraine, I know. I can paint a picture of what is going on there as supplied to me by my friends who are on the war front, and I can propound knowledge to the global community about what's going on with real-time information from my friends and how the global community can assist Ukraine. So this is the motivation.
Wonderful. Well, I think I'll try to get a copy of it for sure. Thank you.
Yes, please. You can go to the website for the book is enchantingisland.com. It's enchantingisland.com. And when you go to the website of the book, you'll get to see what the motifs are behind the book, what's going on, and how to get the book. The book is on Amazon, Enchanting Island by Lyle Charles Emmanuel. But beyond members of this Illustrators Forum getting the book, I'm seeking collaboration, I'm seeking partnership, I'm seeking for a way to spread the message of the book to the world, because the book is all encompassing. I told Mr. Omowale that I can stand before any organization in the world and speak about this book because of the fine work I've done with the book. The book takes a deep picture into what Ukraine was like before the Russian invasion. And then it also paints very vivid pictures of what's going on there. Now, Enchanting Island is different from any other book you might read about Ukraine because this is beyond media promulgation. What are documented in it, it's beyond what the media is circulating. So I've got friends and colleagues on the battleground who send me information, videos, and messages. I shared some of them with Mr. Mowale. So these are some of the things that are contained in the book, beyond media promulgation. And then I delve into what the global community can do to assist Ukraine. There are dire needs that Ukrainians have, that the nation of Ukraine have. I'm privileged to have this information. I documented it in the book as well. And the book ends on a very optimistic note. I know that by the grace of God, the war will be done in Ukraine. Ukraine is going to rise again. But at the end of this war, there is going to be a rebuilding. And I took my rebuilding formula from the NDRF, that is the National Disaster Recovery Framework that the United States propounded for recovery of societies from disasters. So I went extensively into the National Disaster Recovery Framework for what it will look like for the rebuilding of Ukraine at the end of this war, and the kind of technocrats that Ukraine will require, the kind of help that Ukraine will require. And of course, I spoke about mental health, because even though many people have escaped to safety, but a lot of people are victims of this war and they are traumatized. And if we don't look at how to help these people, what we are going to have in the coming weeks and months is a global epidemic or global pandemic of people who are mentally traumatized as a result of this war. One of the questions I asked in this book is, what does the sound of a spoon clattering on the ground, what does it sound like to somebody who managed to escape the war? Does it remind them of artillery shelling? What do different sounds conjure up in the images of people, even though they have escaped? So we have to look at helping people with their mental health, when even now and when all of this is done. And that's one of the things myself and my colleagues are also doing. We are putting together a platform, an application, an app, where we encourage medical professionals from all over the world, after they have been vetted, of course, to sign up, to volunteer, to assist the several millions of Ukrainians who have been traumatized mentally because of this invasion.
Okay. Great.
Well, Dr. Emmanuel, I wanted to give people an opportunity, if they want to have a quick interaction with you. I have not managed to digest the enormity of the lessons from your book, but I guarantee you I will be taking a deeper dive into your book.
I'm most honored. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We will definitely do that. I'm also going to hand you off to some contacts that I have at local universities, especially
awesome.
the University of Houston. And I
Thank
think
you.
that there's going to be some opportunity for especially for the undergraduates to get a chance to hear from you. I don't know if you all can see this book. This is called A Plot to Destroy Democracy. It's by Malcolm Nance. So Malcolm Nance is ex-CIA Black. He's an expert in logistics and intelligence. And he is actually in Ukraine now. You might have seen him on MSNBC.
Yeah, he's in the fight.
Yeah, he's in the fight. And so in the 1900s, as we know, hundreds of Americans and Black, well, really thousands of Americans, but hundreds of Black Americans left and went to fight against fascism in Franco, and in Spain, in Franco, through Franco. When Franco came to power, Hemingway was part of that group, but a lot of Black Americans were part of that group too. But anyway, Malcolm Nance is in that tradition of global support. So let me ask you all to really look into global look into Malcolm Nance and his effort of global support. You can Google him. He's a regular contributor on MSNBC. Probably the best mind that we have on the threat against our democracy. And also what I would like for us to do as we begin to close out. So I would like for us to give some consideration of restructuring how we operate with For a More Perfect Union. What I would like to do is to have a rotating host For a More Perfect Union. For example, we would like to have maybe I'm just giving an example, like Ms. Roberson, who maybe could host the next group. We could have go around rather than me being the host every week. We'll have somebody to host every week. I can help with the agenda, but we'll have a new host for a more perfect union every week. And I think this is going to give us a richer exploration of the topics that concern our lives. One of the things that we interested in that we have deviated from is the process of aging and elderly. Given the fact that many of us, 60, 70 years or older, we need to look into this whole process of aging and eldering. One of the things that I'm probably going to take up with Wendy going forward, because we are losing people, they making their transition, is so that we can all understand with end of life considerations, how do we say goodbye? How do we release people to go on? And how do we buffer ourselves or strengthen ourselves in the aftermath of losing a folk? And then many of us are having a problem with elderly parents who resent the loss of independence, and they're resisting somebody taking their keys from them to drive and things of that nature. So, but we need to have a collective discussion, and we need to know what the best practices are. So my proposal is basically that our meetings be structured where we deal with the domestic dynamic, the United States, but we also deal with the international dynamic because we are global citizens. One of the things I have on the agenda, keep in mind that the week before Thanksgiving, that is the week that we honor the life and legacy of Congressman Mickey Leland, who died in Ethiopia on a humanitarian mission. So we meet on that Saturday at 12:30 at the Mickey Leland Memorial, right next to Miller Theater. So I'd like for you to put that on your calendar and start encouraging people, because we don't want to send out a blast for it. We just want it to be muscle memory for everybody to try to just show up there. We're about 30 minutes. I appreciate those of you who showed up last time in behalf of Mickey and his family. And so we do it every year, and seems like that we are beginning to get some momentum for that event. Does anybody have a very quick comment on whether or not you think that this idea of having these rotating hosts is a good idea?
I think it's an excellent idea.
Okay, very good. It's my buddy from back in the day, college. T, what do you think about that idea? You're on mute. You're on mute.
No comment.
Okay, all right. David Johnson, what do you think?
I think that's a good idea, man. As long as I'm not in a rotation too often.
Okay, all right there. Okay. Well, you might express some sentiments of some other folk by saying that. George Roberson, Ms. Roberson, what do you think about a rotating host? Ms. Roberson? I think she's on mute.
Not saying anything, so maybe she can't hear you.
Yeah, I think she might have some technical issues. I'm trying to raise my hand for Ms. Roberson, but anyway. Okay, so Dr. Emmanuel did put the link up for Ukraine, yeah. The emergence of Ukraine. So Devin Ross, what do you think about the idea of a rotating host?
I think you do a very great job, but the idea of other people bringing different thoughts, on different days would be maybe a great possibility.
Okay, good. Thank you, Devin. And I'm also thinking about the fact, you significantly younger than a lot of us. And so therefore we want to get your age cohort, Generation X, et cetera, involved in this. Shara, are you listening? Shara, are you there?
Yes, I am. And I agree. I think you bring a lot to, the structure and, galvanizing all of us since you were the kind of beginning for this. But I will support whatever the group wants to do.
Okay.
So there's value in it. We can always try. We can always, do what we want to do. So whatever the group decides, I'm for it.
Okay, Brother Atwood, what do you think about that idea?
I think that's a good idea. I think it's good.
Okay.
Just don't make me one of the first ones.
Okay. Well, I said David Johnson probably captured the sentiment. As long as we don't overuse or anybody, we probably can make this work. And so I'm going to continue to be in the mix in a collaborative way. I'm probably going to reach out, just letting you know, Devin, I'm probably going to reach out to you to be one of the early hosts, and we're going to craft the agenda together. And then as you go along too, we also want you to tell us about your tenure with My Brother's Keeper and the type of job responsibilities that you have undertaken. I would like to say that we do need to add members, and basically people who you think can respect the kind of culture that we've been trying to develop. And the central thing that I tell people is that the type of America that we're after is where no person or group is oppressed or exploited by another person or group. Is that if they wanted to know in a succinct way what More Perfect Union stands for, we do have a charter, but the charter is, it's a document in formation. It's a work in progress. If I need to revisit and give everybody the charter again, we will do that again. Well, I think that we...
Brother Omwali, could I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
In regard to the hosting, we could burn through our list of folk pretty quick if everybody did it just one time, and then we started over again. Can I suggest that since we only have 2 meetings a month, that the individual who's up for the host does both of those meetings, and then we rotate?
Does anybody have any ideas on that?
Did I make that not clear enough?
I have a comment as it relates to that. So whenever we originally started, we had different presentations. And I know for Mr. Johnson, he had one, but he never gave it because we started doing things differently. I would like to see that these presentations that we have on a monthly basis, whenever we have our meeting, because some of these presentations are really meaningful for individuals, especially if people learning, they didn't know about certain things. I know that we focus on health, we focus on all types of awareness, but whether if we don't have a go with the host or not, let's continue to have these presentations because these presentations bring people to this platform.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Johnson, did you ever give the Electoral College presentation?
No, sir. And I think that's what she was referring to. And I'm not sure it's relevant now, man, because there has been not a whole lot of conversation about it since Biden became president.
Okay. All
I
right.
can still give the presentation from an informative standpoint. But as far as any action being taken lately, I haven't heard of any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a centerpiece item, I am going to make sure that we have some type of presentation. Some of them will be informative, not necessarily with an advocacy piece to them, but I will make sure that we start getting these informative presentations together. Okay, well, we over time, we're running out of time, but we know how to contact each other individually. Some of us talk offline during the week. And so I think that all of us have the liberty to call each other, contact each other going forward. And Johnson, I will check with some of those people who agreed to do a David Taylor and who agreed to do a project. So I will check with them and see what's happening with that. David lost his mother-in-law, I guess about 10 days ago.
Wow.
And so didn't get a chance to share that with you. So if you want to give him a shout out of condolence at losing his mother-in-law, it certainly will be appreciated by David. Yeah. And Dr. Butler had a fall and some other things happened with her. And so that has kind of knocked her out of commission for a time being. But anyway, that's it. That's all I have to say. Let's give everybody an adequate chance to check out word, phrase, anything they want to say.
This is Delvin. I just want to express that I'm happy to be back in the group for a more perfect union, and that next time that we're on, a couple of weeks, maybe everybody can put their information in the chat box where we can store it, because I don't have Dr. Butler or Mr. David Taylor's information to send out condolences. So it'll be good if we can put our information in the chat and everyone can store it.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, but what you can do, I do want you to know, Devin, that you can, if you wanted to do a email communication, you can extract the email from the invite in the emails. But what I'm making a note here is that I'm going to try to see if I can get a contact list for More Perfect Union, maybe in a spreadsheet form, Excel, or where everybody will have all of the members, they phone numbers and emails and anything else pertinent. So that is a project that I will work on, but I will send you David Taylor's information probably in the next couple of hours.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Mr. Amawale and Devin, what I'll do is resend out the Google Forms, because once you fill out the Google Forms, if you see the email coming, please sign up on it. Well, it'll have your contact information on there, your email address and phone number. And once we have everyone information, we can send it out to everyone that's on the distribution list.
You're going to send that out soon, sister?
Yeah, that was already sent out last year, so I just have to find the link and resend it out.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right. Yeah, and let me say, Dr. Emmanuel.
Yes, please.
Please send me your mailing address.
Okay, sure. Right
Okay.
away.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna go around and start checking out, and I guess we'll go from David Atwood. We'll let you check out first.
Okay, my word is determination. I've been focusing on that word, and it seems like people who have got stuff done in history were very determined people.
Yeah.
Determination is the word I'll throw out there for everybody.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Wilbert Taylor.
Yeah, because of all of the events that have occurred within the last 2 weeks, I'd like to repeat myself and say peace and love.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Roberson?
Yes, I think I would like to say, with all that is going on, we need to bring some harmony to this world.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Dr. Emmanuel?
I'd like to say, just keep going. Don't give up, keep pushing on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Devin?
I would just like to say sincere. We can do a lot of work in the world, but if we're not sincere about it, we're just going about it.
Yeah, brother, that's it.
Thank you. That's a good one. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
David Johnson?
Love, man, love.
Thank you, sir. Shara Gary?
I'm going to stick with resilience, and I'm going to add purpose to that.
Thank you. Is that Nancy or Bob at 7048? I think that might be Nancy or Bob at 7048. They having some problems. They having some problems today with their internet. But I wanted to close out by paraphrasing what Saul said. Saul Benavides said at the last meeting. He said that when you find a person or a group that inspires you, don't let them go. Okay, well, God bless. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
All right.
Thank you so much.